Alright, first off, I want to say all praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rakakwadash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the brothers in the highways and byways pushing this word now, sincerity and truth. The sisters, the believers, the helps, Shalom. This is the brother Irawam from Jimmy Jamaica Camp. And just want to do a short lesson. It's basically a follow-up lessons from yesterday. And basically on this word obey and being obedient. Now, this, I stated this is a follow-up lesson. Now, yesterday one of the main things that I should have highlighted as well is one of the Greek words for the word obey in the New Testament. When you examine the word within itself, you see that it goes back to having faith, right? It goes back to really believing, and another word which is used also is persuaded, right? Once you're persuaded to do something, that means that you get it done. That means that you if you're persuaded, let's say for example you're persuaded, well then again we're persuaded to teach this word, right? We're persuaded believing that what we are doing is the truth, right? Or that we have the 100% truth. Therefore, because we believe that, we go on the highways and byways and preach, right? That we obeying that means that we have faith in what we have heard. Therefore, we follow, right? And it's the same thing even with your daily life, right? Or the battling is truth, right? With you keeping the laws to the best of your ability, with you going through these trials and tribulations, right? With you obeying the spirit, right? That battle between the flesh and the spirit. So if you obey, right, we need, as the previous lesson, that we need to pray for obedience, right? If the more obedient we are, all right, and the more we obey, Salakia, the more our faith is shown through our works. That is also showing faith through works. As a matter of fact, before I read this, let me just get that precept. All right, this is James 2, starting at 18. It says, "Yea, a man may say, Thou hast faith, and I have works. Shew me thy faith without thy works, and I will shew thee my faith by my works." Right? So you showing that you being obedient shows that you believe, right, in the word, right? So when your flesh, when you're in a particular situation, whatever it is, and your flesh is reacting one way, but your spirit knows what the scriptures is about, see that it is fed by the scriptures, then once you obey the spirit, right, and walk in the spirit, right, despite of how enticing and how profiting the flesh might make whatever seem, and how it might look, you follow the spirit, right? And when I look up the Hebrew word for disobey, right, or disobedient, it go back to word mara, right, what means bitter. That's why even the apostles them tell you that a lot of guys can't handle the bitterness of the truth, right? Because when them get fed up of always taking the L, right? That is also a bitter part. The persecutions, the denying yourself, it's a bitter part, but it's actually bitter first, then it gets sweet. Because once you endure all of the bitterness, once you go through the struggles, the trial, the tribulations, right? Once you mortify your flesh through the bitterness, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemir Shai, that will lead you unto salvation, which is basically, that is when the sweet is going to come. Not on this side, but on the side to come. But for now, it's just to go through the bitter. But when it's so bitter that you can't swallow, you become rebellious and you become disobedient. Therefore, you can't handle the bitterness. Instead, you put sweet for bitter and bitter for sweet, right? You put the pleasures of this current life as sweet. So basically, you disobey the scriptures, right? And you're bitter towards the scriptures, right? Which is you being rebellious, when it should be the other way around. It's supposed to be bitter towards this world, right? And we find more comfort in the scriptures, believing that anything what the scripture said, that is how it goes, right? Spite the fact of how you feel, right? And how, as you say, how enticing and how profitable it look, right? So going back, Galatians 5, verse 7, it says, "Ye did run well. Who did hinder you that you Salakia? Ye did run well. Who did hinder you that ye should not obey the truth?" Right? So when it said that ye should not obey the truth, now, even though it said obey not, we're going to focus on the word obey, right? And see what it means. The Greek play.
Strong's G 3982. Pytho. Pytho.
Okay, Pytho, right? And as you can see, persuaded, right? To induce one by words to believe, right? Now, if you look at the second definition that says be persuaded, it says aid, to be persuaded, to suffer oneself to be persuaded, right? To allow oneself to be persuaded, to be induced to believe, to have faith in a thing, right? And it goes down, it says to believe, to be persuaded of a thing concerning a person. And that is why we believe in a Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rakak Wadash, based upon the things that we have heard and are persuaded of through the spirit of the scriptures, right? It says be, to listen to, obey, yield, which we'll go into this word at the previous lesson, which is basically to submit yourself, comply with, right there, to trust, have confidence, be confident, right? So if once you obey, hey, you're not going to obey somebody where they don't confident in them decision. So the question is, are you confident in the scriptures, in what Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is saying? Now don't get me wrong, yes, we are going to fall, right? We're not going to be perfect on this side. But this is why I was saying, supposed to pray for the spirit of obedience, pray for the spirit of faith, pray that the Lord put the spirit on you to follow off the spirit and not of the flesh. Pray the Lord to give you the spirit to mortify the flesh, because we definitely need that in these times. And we know all brothers, right? Once you know this truth, you have that battle between the flesh and the spirit, and there are times where we disobey. Those are the times where we fall, but we just need to get back up, pray for mercy, and pray for that obedient spirit, right? This lesson is an exhortation to brothers, right? As you see, to trust, to have confidence, to be confident, right? So it really, to agree, believe, have confidence, make friend, right? So it really shows that you need to this is a good spirit to have, right? And that is why this being obedient is very important, because it shows your faith through the works, right? Because and it also, they go back into disobedience, you got a word refractory, right? And when you look up refractory, when you look up the word factory itself, it basically means to do or to be an agent of. It goes back to the word factor. If you're a factor in a equation or something, or in a situation, or a factor of a product, it means that you are contributing to the end result, which means that you do, right? So once you hear, then automatically you're supposed to be doing. If you're obedient, you're supposed to be doing, following the command or carrying out the command which thou hast heard, right? Basically, that is the whole essence of being obedient, right? Now, go to this next precept. This is 1 Peter 4, verse 7. It says, for the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of God. And if it first begin at us, what shall be the end of them that obey not the gospel of God? Right? Now we're going to look up this word obey not. I think the word that is used there is one word, right? For both words. All right. See it, be of them that obey not, right? and it's a derivative of the previous word. Let me just play it.
Strong's G 544. Apitheo. Apitheo.
Right? And it goes on and said, not to allow oneself to be persuaded, basically the opposite, to refuse or withhold belief, right? Because how you withhold belief, right? You know what the scriptures say about a certain thing, and you still say, no, man, maybe we can work to a certain degree, or, you know, as I say in our previous lesson, that you want to try to find a loophole, or, you know, the devil come and whisper things in your ear for you. You know, you try, brothers know what I talk about, right? Where you just, Salakia, where you just, you know, the flesh start persuaded, start telling some things, and you start ignore the advice of the scriptures, are withholding the belief, right? Or you just do your own thing, right? We're also supposed to, and the main reason of pray for the spirit of obedience is so that we don't commit presumptuous sin, because I think presumption is it's a synonym of being disobedient as well, right? And rebellious, right? So that does it's very heavy, and it's a very scary thing, because, as you know, it's a fearful thing to fall in the hands of the living power. So we definitely need to pray for that spirit of obedience, right? Now, as it says, to believe not, right? Unbelieving, which means faithless, and the scripture said, oh, there's nothing good about the unbelieving. Basically, them head not go good, right? One said doubt. The Lord hate doubtfulness. Him hate unbelieving or unbelievers, right? And when you go for the spirit of the flesh, slakia, when you go based off of the persuasion or the instructions of the flesh, you basically is being disobedient, unbelieving, and doubtful, right? Because the flesh will make the situation look more dire than it is. And when you say, you know what, forget it. Just remember, this I work with the spirit, whatever happen, right? Hey, brothers must can testify to this. When they do that, a lot of times it come out where the things work out so perfect, where you see, that is why you need to trust the spirit. But when we're working with the spirit, it really demands faith, because the flesh always are gonna make the decisions we have to make when you come out to trust in the spirit. The flesh always make it look more serious or more dire than what it really is, and that is why we need to pray for that spirit, that faithful spirit. How else, if it's a case that you need to be faithful unto death, how else will you be able to move forward? Unless the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahshua give you that spirit. Hence the reason for prayer. Right? Now, as you can see, it breaks down the word, right? And it says impersuadable, not compliant, contumacious, if I'm pronouncing that properly. As a matter of fact, let me just look up that word. Oh, stubbornly disobedient, rebellious. Right? So it's basically, damn it. Satan, Right, rebellious, right? Given or engage in rebellion, just look up rebel and done. Right? Opposing, taking arms against a government or a rule. Basically, you being opposite. Right? So there it is, right? It shows you, and see, the word that it came from is the original word that we were discussing in Galatians 5 and 7, right? So just a small exhortation, and I really hope this is edifying. I hope that brothers get the message. So hey, stay prayed up, pray for the spirit of obedience, pray for the brethren, pray for the apostles and the elders, pray for the elect, right? So once more, all praises to Yahweh, Shem Yahweh Shai, Shem Rakak Wadash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, And shalom to the brothers in the highways and byways pushing this word now, sincerity and truth. The sisters, the believers, the helps. Shalom.